I'm leaving the office around 6:30 p.m. in the middle of March. And sure enough, the minute I get in my car, I get a phone call from a borrower I've been chasing. He says, I can't pay my trade. My lender won't fund my loan. He explains to me that his lender's run out of money and that he doesn't have enough cost to complete the project. And then he lists off all the things he can't pay. He can't pay his major trades, he can't pay his plumber, he can't pay his drywaller, he can't pay HVAC guy. So he's panicked. He's panicked. He said, everybody's gonna walk, I'm gonna get a bunch of liens. Can you help me out? And believe it or not, I get this call relatively frequently. So there is a way to avoid this. I'm Brian Dorr. I've been in real estate finance for over 30 years. Today, we're talking about escrow funding. So one of the reasons this happens all the time is that oftentimes these lenders are funding from their own liquidity. And right now the market's really tight on liquidity. So he got halfway through his project and we do a cost to complete work in place calculation, and generally speaking you have to hand in a bunch of invoices and pass a bunch of inspections. So there's a lot of excuses a lender can throw at you as to why they don't want to fund the next draw. But more often than not, those lenders are doing that because they just ran out of money. And that's really bad. It's bad for the lender and it's bad for you as a developer, because obviously if you get halfway through a project, that means you're stuck. And you're accruing interest at, let's call it 8 to 12% every month. And you're just accruing and accruing. So any delays you have are bad. That also causes your bills to be paid later. That also causes your trades to be delayed. So you don't want to have a lender walk away from you halfway through a project. So we found this project and we funded it through a real alt. And one of the things we did to make sure this risk doesn't happen again is we did escrow funding. And everybody's gonna ask me, what is escrow funding? Well, escrow funding is I arrange for all the money that we need for the entire loan, including all the draws. And I put it in a trust account. And then to protect our investors, we only draw it out as it's needed to make sure that there's enough work in place to justify our loan. Often, borrowers complain that they have to pay interest on interest. But the one risk I can assure them they won't have with us when we do that is that we won't walk away in the middle of a loan, because we have enough money sitting in the bank account just for their loan. So that is a way that you prevent that risk. So in conclusion, if you're a borrower and your lender wants to use escrow funding, I know your first objection is going to be, I got to pay interest on interest and I don't like that. Well, that might be the case, but you don't understand the risk you're avoiding. If you have a fully funded escrow loan, you know that the money that you need is available to you when you need it. And if you're dealing with private investment sources, aka you're not dealing with a bank or a credit union, you definitely have to worry about whether that lender has liquidity. And I don't care who it is, myself or any other private lender, liquidity is always limited. And if you're drawing from investors along the way, there's no guarantees that they won't stop in the middle. And they'll come up with reasons why they can't fund, which may or may not be your fault. So the way to avoid this risk is to accept an escrow funded deal.